My wife said I had no say in her life, so I gave her exactly that. The divorce papers were supposed to be my backup plan, but when my wife looked me in the eye that Tuesday night and said, "I decide who I spend time with, Daniel. You don't get a say in this," I realized it was time to make them my only plan. 9 years. That's how long we'd been married. 9 years of inside jokes, shared dreams, and building a life together. And in just 6 weeks, a group of strangers from Instagram had convinced her to throw it all away. But here's what makes this story different. I didn't fight. I didn't beg. I didn't chase. I simply said, "You're absolutely right. And if you get to make independent choices, so do I." She had no idea what was coming. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Let me take you back 6 weeks before that Tuesday. My wife Sarah came home buzzing with excitement. She discovered something called the Dallas Women's Rising Collective on Instagram. At first, I was genuinely happy for her. Sarah worked long hours as a nurse, and she deserved friends, hobbies, something that was just hers. The first couple of meetups seemed innocent. Saturday morning coffee, Wednesday book club. She'd come home energized, talking about how refreshing it was to connect with women who got it. But then things started changing fast. First, it was the schedule. Coffee meetups became all-day brunches. Book clubs became wine nights that ended at 2 a.m. 3 nights a week turned into 5. Family dinners we'd had for 9 years, suddenly they were controlling and limiting her growth. Then came the new vocabulary. Everything I said was gaslighting. Every question about her schedule was weaponizing my anxiety. When I mentioned I missed our Tuesday movie nights, she accused me of leveraging nostalgia to maintain power dynamics. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. to an empty bed and texts from her friends about how brave she was for setting boundaries. The jewelry was new, the perfume was new, the contempt in her eyes when I asked simple questions, that was definitely new. One night, I looked up the women she was spending all this time with, her so-called mentors. Denise, the group leader, divorced at 28, 3 failed relationships since, made a living posting empowerment content while working part-time jobs she couldn't keep. Her advice? A man who questions you is a man trying to own you. Michelle, 2 kids, 2 different fathers, both gone. Every post was about how men were intimidated by strong women while she rotated through relationships like seasons. Taylor, on her 4th engagement, ran various pyramid schemes. Her Instagram was a mix of boss babe posts and subtle asks for money. These were the people Sarah had chosen to rebuild her identity around. These were the voices telling her our marriage was a cage. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. Leftover Chinese food on the table, a conversation I'll never forget. I asked a simple question. Why do you need to go out 3 times this week, all late at night? Her response? Because I want to, because these are my friends, and we don't judge each other's choices. The irony of her judging me for asking while claiming not to judge wasn't lost on me, so I said something I'd been holding back. When your independence includes coming home at 2 a.m. smelling like cigarettes and cologne that isn't mine, maybe we should talk about it. She exploded. Maybe I don't owe you explanations anymore. Maybe I've been living my life according to your rules for too long. And that's when she said it. You decide who you spend time with. You don't get a say in this. The room went silent. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized this wasn't the woman I married. This wasn't even close. And that's when something clicked. You're absolutely right, I said calmly. Your friendships are your choice. Your decisions are your choice. She blinked, surprised. She'd been ready for a fight. And since we're talking about choices, then I get the same independence in mine. Fair is fair. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't slam doors. I just started making my own choices. The next morning, I called a divorce attorney. By afternoon, I'd opened my own bank account and moved half our savings. By evening, I'd contacted a realtor about the house. By the end of the week, I'd filed. When the papers were served, Sarah showed up at my brother's place where I was staying. She was crying, saying I was overreacting, that this wasn't what she meant, that her friends told me I was bluffing. Your friends, I said quietly, have given you a lot of advice. Let's see how their own lives turn out while we're waiting for this divorce to finalize. Then you tell me if you chose your advisors wisely. Over the next 3 months, I watched it all unfold exactly like I predicted. Denise, her boyfriend, turned out to be married, a college professor, using her for an affair. When his wife found out, he lost his job. Denise lost her consulting gig working for him. She posted a bitter rant about being used and betrayed. The irony was poetic. Michelle, both fathers of her children, filed for full custody evaluations. Her late-night posts became evidence. She made her accounts private, deleted everything, and posted one final message. I gave advice I had no right to give. Taylor, her fourth fiancé, found out about her debt and pyramid scheme losses. He called off the wedding. The engagement ring showed up for sale online 3 days later. And Sarah, she posted her own public statement. I destroyed my marriage by listening to people who couldn't maintain their own relationships. I take full responsibility. Daniel was right about everything. 3 months after I filed, we stood in the Dallas County Courthouse. The judge reviewed the papers and said the words that officially ended our marriage. 9 years, reduced to 11 minutes and a signature. Outside the courthouse, Sarah tried to talk to me. Can we talk? Just 5 minutes? What's left to say? I asked. That I understand now, that I see what I had and what I threw away. Good, I said. Hold on to that understanding. It'll help you not make the same mistake twice. Do you hate me? She asked, her voice breaking. No, I said, honestly. I don't hate you, but I don't recognize you anymore either. She nodded slowly. You look happy. I am happy, I said, and I meant it. 6 months later, I'm living in a clean, modern apartment in downtown Dallas. I've been promoted at work, I coach a youth basketball team, I've reconnected with old friends, and I'm seeing someone new, someone who understands that partnership and independence aren't opposites. People ask if I regret it. The answer is no. I regret that it happened. I regret that Sarah chose strangers over our 9 years together. I regret that it ended in a courtroom. But I don't regret demanding respect. I don't regret showing her that choices have consequences. And I don't regret refusing to be someone's backup plan. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone face the full weight of their own decisions. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe so you never miss our next powerful story. See you in the next one.